Hello there YouTubers. So today I'm going to do a video on why Linux sucks and why doesn't Linux sucks, and then I'm going to explain the rest of the situation, probably about why Mac shouldn't even exist, okay? Because of Linux. So today I'm going to talk about why Linux sucks. First thing is applications in Linux. There are a lot of applications in the market these days that only can tailor with Ubuntu. Like for instance, I make a good example, Kazam. Okay, Kazam is more tailored to the Ubuntu users. They don't really care much about the Arch users, the Slackware users, or the Gentoo users. They don't really care. They don't even tailor to that. Now, they think that most people that use Ubuntu will probably do video editing in Ubuntu. That's a false lie. There are a lot of people out there that make video editing in Arch, that make video editing in Gentoo, that make video editing in other programs with different types of operating systems, but they only custom tailor to Ubuntu. And there are a lot of applications out there that only custom tailor to Ubuntu. They don't custom tailor to, you know, in Gentoo or Arch, I'm saying, yeah. But again, they're only custom tailored to Ubuntu. That kind of like limitates the Arch users, the Gentoo users, and the Slackware users, and all these other users that prefer those distributions because of the base, the core of the operating system. So, you know, I forgot about Fedora users as well. Sorry, guys, I forgot about Fedora users as well. But yeah, there's applications that only custom tailored to Ubuntu. Sucks. It really does suck, and we'd love to see somebody to develop more applications for Arch-based users, for Gentoo-based users, for Slackware-based users, you know, and more custom-tailored development. I mean, Fedora is a good based operating system to develop on. I mean, they're trying to advertise more developers to work with Fedora. So, I mean, good luck on them, but most people want to custom tailor for Ubuntu. I think it's because of the PPA system. The PPA is more for developers, more in style, more for developers than newbies. So yeah, that kind of wraps around that as well. Okay, so Ubuntu applications. Why are they only developed in Ubuntu only platforms? That's my one take. Number 2, why Linux sucks. This is more to do with Ubuntu-based respins. There are a lot of Ubuntu-based respins, and it's annoying to see them. In DistroWatch, there is Mint and Ubuntu. There are 2 Ubuntu-based distributions. I've got no problems with Mint, because Mint's got their own coders. They work on Update Manager, they work on the Mint menu, they work on Cinnamon. You know, they've got their own little projects. Fan-dabby-dozy. There are a lot of other distributions out there that don't have their own projects. In fact, they only use Frenzi's icon thingy, change a few bits on that, and then use the same core as Ubuntu, use the same interface as Ubuntu, and say, look, this distribution is faster than Linux Mint or something like that. I think no, because by default, Mate or Cinnamon would probably be light or heavier. It depends on how much application you put onto the system. So respins of Ubuntu, most of them are completely 100% pointless, and the project should have died years back. Some of the projects of Ubuntu should have died years back, but people just support them because they think it's the revelation of Ubuntu, when the core itself sucks completely, and everybody knows the core of Ubuntu sucks. If you don't, then I don't think you're a Linux user. So a lot of Linux distributions, not much of a clear information, which is the best distribution for the user, like you. So most people like me like to build a distribution that's custom tailored to me. So for instance, if I wanted to have an operating system that's custom tailored for me, I would probably recommend Manjaro as the alternative to custom tailor an operating system for you, or me, or whoever. You know, you get me drift, for the person who's using that distribution. At the end of the day, it's you that can use that distribution, not me, or the developer, or you, okay? You as a customer, okay? So these respins of Ubuntu, quit it out, just quit it all. I mean, literally, there was no need to have lots of respins of Ubuntu. Most of them are all the same, and they are boring, okay? Some distributions, I'm making a good example of Ubuntu Respins, makes a good point like Linux Mint. They're trying to work against with Cinnamon, and need to work with Cinnamon, and they have projects, and they pretty much are worth the while to build respins of Ubuntu. Some don't. So just cut it out, start making respins of Ubuntu, and you have got no reason to make a respin of Ubuntu, don't make a respin of Ubuntu. It is completely 100% pointless. It gives Linux a bad name, basically, especially on the market that wants to try and get more people to use Linux more. And that's how Linux is going to live. You've got to give it to the newbies who don't know much about computers or don't know computers at all, and that's how you're going to build more people are going to use Linux, which means more applications will probably be developed for Linux, and such and such. So, you're a Linux user or a Linux developer and you create an operating system that is 100% completely pointless, don't build it. I'm going to say straight back, don't build it. Unless you're going to build your own core from scratch and you build your own service from scratch and all that stuff, understandable. But if you're just going to build it from core and change the interface, don't build it. That's what I'm saying, just don't build it. I'm sick and tired of seeing these stupid little respins of Ubuntu. You're stupid, you're childish, just give up with it, okay? It just gives the Linux a bad name, it just does. Okay, next fact. Applications, we'll go back to applications now. This is another thing that comes up a lot in Ubuntu, and this is what gives Ubuntu, the whole distribution of Ubuntu in fact, a bad name. Applications that have been stopped developing in 2000, say like 2009, 2010, and just been patched, and don't work the way it should be working in that desktop environment, and they still release it. I'll give an example. Record My Desktop, for instance. It works, but there's some certain limitation where it doesn't work, and people start getting sick and tired of using it. That's one of the applications that comes up quite a lot in YouTube. You know, Record My Desktop, and they will all Record My Desktop's awesome, and then after a while they don't like it anymore. It starts to be horrible and buggy and nasty. Well, Record My Desktop has been stopped developing in 2009. At the moment, Record My Desktop is now in like putting patches for the application to support the basic distributions, like to keep supporting Ubuntu and to keep supporting Arch. It's not really in heavy development, you could say, because every version of Record My Desktop is exactly the same, and there's not much of a whole difference between the last version and this version. The only difference is that they've only just add patches to it to work in the new environment. That's the only difference. The guy who developed Record My Desktop has stopped developing Record My Desktop and more shifted into GIMP. So they're more working on technology with GIMP than they are Record My Desktop. So that's why Record My Desktop is pretty much the same as it is, and they won't update it, they won't upgrade it. It's just a dead project basically in some of its own aspects, but it's still alive in some way. It's same as Compez when Ubuntu have their own scripts to Compez, and they try and make it modified so they can run it under Unity and stuff. But now Compez is dead, they're trying to make Unity more QML type, Unity desktop, and more QML coding instead of running on Qt, so it's more QML based desktop. That's what they're trying to run Ubuntu on. What else? Communities. Ubuntu's community, not just Ubuntu, but every community out there. There are Linux communities out there that like to suck their own dick, and I'm just going to say it right out. There are a lot of communities out there that are not open enough and not honest enough about the software they use every day. Usually they'll suck on each other's dicks and say, yeah, this is the best operating system in the world, but secretly they'll probably be using Windows or something like that. Or maybe just using the operating system as they force themselves to use it and trying to use it and work with it. But the end of the day is, if you don't like the distribution, stop sucking the cock then. To be honest, a lot of people in the community, because I've done this a lot in the community, is that they'll suck on each other's cocks and say, right, we like this distribution because it's the best. Well, if somebody else likes it and you don't use it. Simple as. You have an option of choice doing that. You don't have to keep telling, oh, Linux is the best, it's the best distribution ever, when it isn't. And sometimes I do make points out that in the community, they like to lie and make false judgment mentions about Linux and stuff. Honestly, it's just rubbish. I mean, they even say running Windows games is a lot better in Linux. No, running Windows applications or games in Windows is better than running it under Linux. There's a total opposite reason. Usually, most Linux users use a virtual box or have a dual boot with Windows at least if they want to carry on running their Windows applications under their PC. It doesn't have to be with Linux though, but most of the time it won't be Linux to run there. For instance, make an example. I'm doing my driving test. Well, theory, I learned theory. I've got my theory thing, and I want to run this on my PC. Actually, remember, I can't run it on my PC. I've had a few issues, but I can't run it on a wine, so I have to use a Windows PC to run this. It's straightforward fact. So, like that sort of simple lies, and they kind of, and a lot of Linux community just grab on that and suck the cock and say, yeah, this is true, and they honestly, it's just false information. And if you see people like that and they're all agreeing with false information, don't go there. Okay? Just don't go there. You can't tell which is false and which is true. It's just, you just can't tell. I think that's it really. So, community sucks when it comes to sucking on each other's cocks. They come along and each other, they really do. There are a lot of communities out there that like to suck on each other's cocks. They even suck on the admin's cock and say, yes, I want to stay on this community by telling lots of lies. So, and stuff like that. And there are a lot of people like that. See, I have built a community before, but I used to have an old community that I gave up on that project and gave to somebody else. But at the time, it was not all about who can suck on each other's cocks. It was about your personal, what you personally think about Linux, and not about, well, I want to suck this admin's cock because he's telling bollocks, but I'm going to stay on this so I can stay on the community so I can make friends and stuff. You know, you don't join a community to make friends, you go and join a community to help people. And my main point of joining a community and doing stuff is to help people and to make your life using this operating system, or the operating system you're using, much more of a life and easy thing. So now we're going to skip from the bad points about Linux and what I've had come up with against Linux, and to move into more what's good things about Linux. The first thing is server client. People say, oh, Mer and Wayland and Xorg are horrible. I have to say that every new technology that comes into Linux, even the ones that sound stupid, are good. They can make the Linux operating system more interventional, make it more better, you know, and find ways to make Linux a better system altogether. And that's how I see it as. I do not see it as, oh, they're building a shit application, that's stupid, why should I use it? At the end of the day, that could be the best innovation they could ever thought of in Linux, and find that stupid application into the greatest success software in the world. That's how I see it as. So I never see software, because I'm a software junkie, I never see software as pointless. There's no such thing as pointless software, with pointless engines of the software, or pointless parts of the operating system. I've never seen a pointless thing. It's just, there is pointless software, don't get me wrong, but again, trying to find ways to make Linux better. And honestly, Mer is another way to make Linux better. I know it's built under just Ubuntu and all that lot, but again, it's to find a way to make Linux better. Wayland, same as Wayland, trying to make Linux faster and better at running, viewing HD videoing and stuff like that. And same as Xorg, same thing. So, at the end of the day is, if you're a Linux user, you think Wayland and Mer and Xorg is all stupid and confusing, they should be using it, that's your opinion. So I'm not going to go, right, I'm going to hate Wayland because like that. See, same as Ubuntu and GNOME Shell and Cinnamon. I mean, I have doubts on the own features of GNOME Shell, but some people might love GNOME Shell and say, oh yeah, it's amazing, best technology ever. So I can't really say it's horrible. But technologies like Linux, you know, the new technologies out of Linux and the more vast software for Linux, the better the system can be. So, you know, that's what I always see in Linux. I never see it as, oh, this shit software, I should not use that. I see it as, it's an alternative way of using it and finding ways to make it better, or to make the system the way you want it, and having all the applications you want for that system, sort of thing. That's how I see it as. Okay, so that's one good point. There are some good software coming into Linux. You know, it's I never see shit software as shit. I see shit software as another way to innovate the operating system and to make it better for other users out there that exist on the market. So, you know, it's good things about that. The other thing about Linux is that it's free. You might have heard that many times. It's free. And most of these developers have worked so hard to get this good quality operating system in the market. It is pretty much usable. I mean, you might have heard of it, software free, virus free, all this thousands of applications free. But there are some stuff that I haven't mentioned yet, and it hasn't been mentioned on YouTube yet about Linux. It's first off about Linux is that is the limitation of customization. I'm probably going to mention all these good things. I mean, I'm going to mention them. So first off, limitation of open source software. It's good, in it. Open source software, free software to use whenever you feel like it. Second thing about Linux is that you can customize to your heart's content. It's the most customized operating system in the whole world. You cannot get no other operating system besides other open source projects like BSD and OpenBS. You can't get any, you know, all the commercial operating systems like Windows and Mac. It can be customized as Linux. Linux is the most customized operating system in the world. You cannot say Linux is ugly. So I was gonna move to the Mac part, but I'm gonna carry on with Linux and how good Linux is. I don't know if I'm third or fourth or fifth. But anyway, let's carry on. The next thing that I like about Linux is that it's not because it's virus free. It's more practical when it comes to protecting yourself from the websites. There are some security engines that Canonical and AIM developers are doing. So when you use the web browser and stuff, your data gets removed straight away. So you don't worry about cache being still on your browser. You can remove it after every time you use that browser or web browser or whatever. So web security there. It's always have been there in Linux. But people keep thinking, oh, Microsoft is more secure when it comes to web stuff. Not really. I mean, they've been trying to find that technology for years. We've always had that in Linux for a long time. So, like keeping data, like email information and, you know, all that other stuff. Defragmentation, cleaning disk, whatever, all that stuff. Don't need it in Linux. It's not needable. Format we use called exe4. I think it's a format. It's a file system. I don't know. But we don't use defrag our hard drives in Linux, which is cool. There's a lot of good points in Linux about it. Well, now I'm thinking about all the good points. Now I'm going to start moving why Mac shouldn't exist and why Linux should be the leader of operating the Unix structure, okay, and not Mac. I'll give you reasons why. Linux is customization, Mac's not. Linux has more vast software they could install to make the system the way the users want it. Macs do not. Linux can have all the ports of Mac software and be available for Linux. All they need to do is to put a bit of work into it. Maybe put a bit of packages. They could run pretty much every single Mac software if they wanted to. A lot of developers wanted to. They could import all the Mac software and put it into Linux if they wanted to. You see, Macs have to be sold onto hardware pre-installed as a Unix system. You see, what I don't get, and a lot of things, it kind of makes you laugh, and you might find this funny. Mac fanboys, they come up and go, Linux is ugly. So, Linux is ugly. Maybe you don't like that theme, maybe you don't like that shell, who cares? At the end of the day, you can change that shell and change the look how you want it. You Mac users, you've got a boring grey theme. You've got a boring dock. You've got a boring panel. You're stuck with that for the rest of your life with that Mac forever. Yeah, you could run Windows. Heck, you've been doing that. But you have to fucking remove Mac to do that, or dual boot it. But at the end of the day, by default, you're stuck with the dock, and you're stuck with the panel, and you're stuck with the global menu. Now, that's ugly, because at the end of the day, what if you don't like that theme? Or what if you don't like that user shell? You're stuck for it forever. So the end of the day is, when you say Linux is ugly, Actually, Linux is the most customized operating system in the whole world. No Mac fanboy in the world can customize their Mac the way they want it. No Mac fanboy in the world can do that. None. Zero. Zitch. Zip it. That's it. There is nothing you can do to customize it. Okay? And this is what I'm going at to the Mac fanboys, because there are a lot of Mac fanboys out there that will go and judgment Linux because they don't like it. They've used it before on a 5 gig hard drive on old hardware because they don't want to move their precious Mac, and they'll say, oh, Linux sucks, I never worked with it. Probably because you used it once and you didn't like it for some weird reason, because you couldn't use it on really old hardware or tried it out. And, you know, the end of the day is Linux is most customizable. You can run it the way you want it. I mean, no other operating system can do that. None. You name one operating system that can be customized the way you want it. None. You cannot name one. Except for BSD and BOS and all those other open source distributions. They don't count. I'm talking about commercial operating systems. Neither Windows or Mac can be customized as intelligent you can do with Linux. So, do not say Linux is ugly, or the applications in Linux are ugly. They're not. They're a lot more nicer than they would do a Mac and Windows put together, because you can customize a Mac. You can customize the Linux application the way you want it than you would do in a Mac or a Windows environment. So do not ever, I'm going to repeat, do not ever say that Mac software looks a lot better than it does in Linux. Do not ever say it, because it's false information. You, my friend, do not know anything about computers, okay? Linux is the most customized operating system in the world, which is the most customized operating system in the world, and some users prefer just like text on their desktop. You might say that's ugly. You can make it non-textable. You can make it with like GNOME Shell or KDE look like, so Windows like, or a Mac like, or a netbook or a tablet type like interface. You've got all these alternative options that's available for Linux. Never say Linux is ugly. Linux is never ugly. Linux has the whole selection suite of themes and colours and everything more than Windows and Mac put together, and that's the beauty about Linux. Okay? Never ever judgment a Linux like that. Never. I'm just saying, just never do it. Okay? Because I mean, we could make our computers like Macs, like under 5 minutes. We could do it under 5 minutes. We can make our system like Windows under 5 minutes. And so we could say, oh look, this looks like a Mac. This looks like a Mac. And you might say, oh, well, I'm a bit feel stupid now. And that's how we could treat you like you're stupid, and we will treat you like you're stupid. At the moment, we can't be asked because we don't want to mess with stupid. So, and we can port, because basically we use OpenGL just like Macs use. We could just port over all the Mac software onto the Linux system and run it. Your Mac system can't even beat. Actually, your Mac, when you compare a Mac system and a Linux system, Mac systems are obsolete. They're basically useless. You compare it to them. At the end of the day, it's Apple trying to market that operating system to get more people using that software, so they think, oh, we've got the best system in the world. And they're not good for gaming. Video editing's not really fucking the best. And if you could put all that video editing into Linux, it's probably just be good as Mac, maybe better, because of all the alternatives you can run on hardware and all in terms of themes you've got with Linux. So at the end of the day is, your Mac operating system is obsolete. That's it, your Mac operating system is just obsolete. You cannot disagree with that, because there are less viruses in Linux. Linux is more stable because it supports on more hardware traditionally, and best of all, right? Heck, it even supports more than what Windows does. And I'm not joking, it does. You might think, well, that's not right. Believe it or not, they run on mobile operating systems, processors. And not just mobile operating processors, but even motherboards that's only compatible to run on really, really light, small operating systems. I mean, It's impressive, isn't it? Don't you think? It's on your TV set. I mean, do you think Mac Unix operating system? No, the Mac's kernel on the Mac operating system on your TV. Well, kernel. Mac's kernel on your TV? No, it isn't. Do you think your Mac's kernel on your Xbox or your PS3? No, because it's not even compatible. Not even compatible. So when you even trying to think stability is better on Mac than it is on Linux. Linux worked and developed a lot more than your hardware. And I know I'm going out to the Mac fanboys, but you Mac fanboys, shut up. You've got no fucking clue about Linux or any other operating system out there. Windows is good for gaming and video editing. Linux would be good for gaming and video editing if a lot of people support it a lot more. And Macs would be obsolete. Okay? End of story. We're not going into any more than that. It'll be obsolete. Okay? Mac would be out of business if Apple support all their video software. Why do you think iTunes is not on Linux? Do you want to know why? You want to know why? I'll tell you. Because at the end of the day, if iTunes was supported on Linux, why would you buy a Mac if you could get iTunes on Linux? Just one point. So, there you go. You've learned something today, haven't you, my fanboys? Your operating system would be obsolete if your software was available for Linux. You're only running Mac because of the software you've got on there, alternative on Linux. You don't run it because it's better. You don't look at it because it looks better. You don't play with it because it does better or it's faster. Or you use it because of the software. That's the only reason. You don't use it because it's got a big name on there. Some people do because they're idiots like that. But Linux is a lot better operating system than Mac and any other Unix operating system out there. I know there's BSD, and I'm not going to go into the BSD fan group, which is better Linux or BSD. But alternatively, if you try and mess with Linux fanboys and say, oh, Linux is shit, firm by me. But I am, yes, okay, I'm a Linux fanboy. I've been using Linux 3-4 years, and Linux do great, but I still love the plugger. Do you know why? Because I can feel that Linux could have a better chance to take over the Mac market, full stop, and completely wipe out most PCs with just Linux on. And honestly, when the new consumer takes on one of those Ubuntu PCs and a lot more software can support Linux, Mac's got a big issue under their hands, and I mean it. Yeah. So just watch it. So I think that's all I have to say today. Just remember, Mac's obsolete when it comes to Linux. No questions about it. It's obsolete. Say. You can't compare Linux with Mac because it's not because it'd be a fair and unfair round. It'd just be unfair round for Mac because all people only use Mac for is for software that's available, or the applications that's available for Linux, for Mac. You know, that's the only reason why Macs exist. That's the only reason. There is no other reason. If there was another reason, like Macs is customizable or something better than Linux, then I would pick a Mac myself. But I know Linux would be a better market overall than Mac would be. So, yeah. You all those Mac fanboys there, I know you're going to make some stupid excuse like, well, it looks ugly in Linux or something stupid like that. I know you will, because you're all like that. So, I'm trying to get some, yeah. You know, I'm trying to get to those Mac fanboys. I mean, I'm just sick and tired of them stupid fanboys. Alright then. So, as you know, that's my video for today. We've talked about how bad Linux is, how good Linux is. Then we're going to talk about why Macs shouldn't exist and should be obsolete. So, I think I made my point. Okay, so I'll see you all later, guys. I hope I'll see you in the near future. Goodbye.